the President of Switzerland, the President Zelensky of Ukraine, Madam Vice President of the United States, heads of states, ladies and gentlemen. 79 years after the international community established a multilateral institutional framework to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has been a horrifying spectacle of carnage and devastation, which has left 500,000 people dead and 7.1 million people displaced in its wake. Across the world, people and nations are enduring the negative consequences of disrupted supply chains. Kenya's position has been clear and unequivocal from the beginning. Russia's aggression against Ukraine is unlawful, unjust, and a violation of the fundamental principles of international law, which honor the sovereign equality of nations, upholds their territorial integrity, and advocates the peaceful resolution of all disagreements. Just like the war in Ukraine, the war in the Middle East has been equally devastating. So is the case with the war in the Sahel region in Africa, in Eastern DRC, in Somalia, in the Horn of Africa, and of course in the Sudan. 40 million Africans have been displaced by the war in our continent, and 2.5 million kids are out of school. This state of affairs speaks volumes of global leadership, and especially the peace architecture at the United Nations, and more specifically, the gridlock at the United Nations Security Council. Today, a farmer in Kenya, in rural Kenya actually, knows there is war in Ukraine for two reasons. Number one, he paid more for his fertilizer, and number two, his fertilizer came late. This peace summit is a historic step in the right direction. For the first time, we have convened to talk about peace in Ukraine and not war in Ukraine. Secondly, a commitment to peace makes certain fundamental concessions inevitable. This summit should not be a meeting of just friends. This should be a meeting of both friends and foe. To succeed in this positive trajectory, Russia must be on the table, number one. Number two, an American general, Norman Swartzwell, said, the more we sweat in peace, the less we bleed in war. It is time for leaders of the world to talk about peace, negotiate peace, work hard to build peace, and configure a global strategic framework that integrates peace as the sole means and end of human endeavor. We have gathered here, and we are reminded by the Indian statesman Mahatma Gandhi, who said that an eye for an eye will make humanity blind. Just as Russia's invasion of Ukraine was unlawful and unacceptable, the unilateral appropriation of Russia's assets is equally unlawful, unacceptable, and a derogation from the UN Charter, especially for those of us who believe in freedom, justice, and democracy, and the rule of law. As we embark on this journey to resolve conflict in Ukraine and throughout the world, it's time for parties to the war in Ukraine to demonstrate good faith, abandon intransigent attitudes, and soften their positions. I thank you.
Thank you. Madam President, you have the floor.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to welcome you here to the Bürgenstock, high above Lake Lucerne. There is a long tradition of seeking ways out of war in peaceful places. The Bürgenstock is that kind of place. Though its beauty is in sharp contrast to the reason for this summit. The mountains serve as a reminder that it takes many steps to achieve ambitious goals. Our goal is to inspire a process towards a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. Of course, we are aware that there is a long path ahead of us. We are under no illusion that we will reach a conclusive understanding at this summit. But we can come closer to reaching such an understanding word by word, proposal by proposal, step by step. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the past 28 months have made it clear that the war in Ukraine has far-reaching repercussions for international order, for those in the areas directly affected by the hostilities, and for the lives of millions of people around the world. We all have an existential interest in ensuring that international relations are based on rules and on respect for international law and human rights. Switzerland is a partner for peace and dialogue. As a neutral country, we look back on a long tradition of solidarity and good offices. The harmonious coexistence of nations isn't just a noble objective. Striving for a just and peaceful international order is a commitment set out in our Constitution. To fulfill this responsibility and honor our tradition, my government accepted President Zelensky's request to host this summit. Our aim is to launch a broadly supported process where voices from all corners of the globe can discuss their ideas and points of view. The fact that you have accepted our invitation and that your nations, as well as international organizations, have sent such high-level delegations proves that this approach was right. Although our objective is ambitious, it is in the interests of everyone here to commit to this ambition. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are all aware that a peace process without Russia is inconceivable. A lasting solution must involve both parties. As an international community, we can help to pave the way. That is why we are here. At the same time, we are aiming to achieve real progress on specific issues. With your support, we have defined 3 issues of global impact that we will discuss in our working groups. These are nuclear safety, food security, and the human dimension of the war. Our most important goals for this weekend are to inspire a process leading to a framework for a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace for Ukraine based on international law and the UN Charter. To develop a common understanding on how to take concrete steps towards such a framework. And we want to discuss how and under what conditions Russia can be included in this process. It is essential that so many of us use this summit to express our support for a peaceful process, for a process beyond any armed hostilities. Over the past few months, you have actively and with the utmost commitment helped plan and prepare for this summit. I wish to thank you most sincerely for your help. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, finding a path to peace requires perseverance and will. It requires effort on all sides. We can only achieve the ambitious goal of this summit if we pool our strength and come together, even in areas where our positions differ. Here on the Bürgenstock, we will all be making that first crucial step. It is up to us to make sure it is followed by a second. Thank you very much.